have three goals for today. One is that you learn something new about clowning. Second is that you do some clowning. And third is that you have some space to ask questions and reflect a little bit. So those are the three kind of areas I'd like to do. A little learning, a little bit of doing. I mean, learning kind of like cognitively, and then some doing practically, and then some reflecting and asking questions. How does that sound? Cool, cool, cool. All right. Maria, welcome. So, and it's going to be short. We only have like 55 minutes. So tell me, first of all, either out loud or in the chat, what do you know about clowning? Like, what pops into your mind when you hear the word clown? For real? Whether you know a lot about it or little
Do
about it.
dumb things.
Say it again.
Nonsense.
Nonsense. Great. What else?
Clown is a lot like a horse.
How so?
You're clowning around or you're horsing around. It can be
Ah,
quite similar.
I like that. I'd never thought about that before.
Think about it.
Ha, I am. What else?
Being free.
Say it again. I didn't hear that properly.
Being free.
I'm free.
Being free.
Oh, being free. Being free. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, what else? Let's have some more. I see joy and fun. I see exaggerated emotions. Stephen King. Yeah.
I think of like commedia dell'arte, or here in villages, people use clowning to talk about things that they can't normally say, but doing it through a mask or through like a
Oh,
sort of
cool.
clowning, so the characters.
Yeah. Megan, where is this?
Oaxaca, Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, very cool. Erin, what do you mean by getting out of the social norms? Can you say a little more about that?
Yeah, like I feel like in clown world, the rules of the game are like different than what they are in the day-to-day life. So I was talking to a friend, a clown friend the other day. Um, we've been exploring play in my work, and they were like, in that clown world, like anything can be anything. So there's this sense of like imagination, awe, that sense of like pretending that you've never seen something before. So it's the very first time you've encountered something, and that feeling of like overwhelming awe that comes.
Yeah, like, wow, amazing. Yeah, curiosity, a sense of awe. Like we're seeing things for the first time, we're seeing things differently. Yeah, I love all these things, you guys. All wonderful associations. And I think this is the thing, clowning actually has, it's a sacred practice. It goes back many centuries, millennia, and is practiced across many different cultures. But it's really, really hard to really kind of define what it is or to capture it in one word or phrase. Um, and in a way, it's kind of the point. Like it's a little bit nebulous, it's a little bit shapeless and formless. It has kind of a trickster quality to it in itself. Like you can't pin it down somehow to something. Political clowning is very in vogue right now for obvious reasons, or sort of activist clowning,
That's the other
playfulness.
thing I was gonna say is that these like politicians are clowns.
Well, yeah, that's not what I had in mind, but you're right. We use the word to talk about politicians and people we don't like sometimes. And if you think about some of the peaceful anti-ICE protests that have been happening, there's been a lot of playfulness and kind of clown tactics used. Activism and clowning, politics and clowning goes back a really long way. And one of the things for me about clowning is that you can't take yourself too seriously. So in a way, it's a great tool for activists because it doesn't, you know, it's important when you're clowning that you don't get too attached to a point of view. This is also really valuable in academia and in education. I think it's a great place to kind of space to go into a teaching role, for example, in a clown with a clown mentality where I don't know so much. I'm not attached to a particular point of view or opinion or outcome. I spent, well, so very briefly, my background is, for originally as a theatre practitioner in the UK, and then when I got to about 30, I thought I better do something, semi-serious and I can earn money. So I did a PhD in at Northwestern University and in Chicago, and then and did studied clowns and clowning in Colombia in South America. So I went to Colombia and studied the social impact of clowning. And there's a book and stuff if you're interested in that I can point you to. But in within the academic context, I had so much fun and joy from going to conferences and even just in classes and stuff, clowning, bringing the clown energy into those very serious spaces. Um, and people just always appreciated it so much because these are sort of rather sacred, reverent spaces. And when you bring clowning into those spaces, it kind of just frees people up. It gives people a sense of spaciousness and playfulness and allows them to be a bit silly and irreverent. And academics really, most, not all, because I went into some spaces where I was not appreciated, but it was sort of the minority. Keegan, you have a question or a
I
thought?
was just curious if clowning is quite different between those places, like Chicago and Columbia. Like, I imagine it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more of it in Colombia on the streets. Like it's much more evident and visible. In Chicago, it tends to be more institutionalized a little bit, like in theaters and circuses. And in Colombia, there's a tradition of clowning that's much more visible on the streets and in education. But of course, my research was 20 years ago, and things have moved on also. So that you know a little bit about my background. I now also run an organization called Clown Spirit, which brings clowning online for people all around the world. You can check that out, clown-spirit.com. There's a lot of resources and um, free, and I have a subscription model platform there as well that people can join and get coaching sessions and masterclass and workshops. There's a kind of potential in clowning, which is what this workshop is about, to to um, go beyond the logical, to go beyond what the kind of answers that the mind will come up with, and to step more into a physical, embodied, playful way of interacting with the world and answering the questions and finding the solutions that we seek. So that's kind of what I want to look at today is like how playfulness and the trusting more the impulses of the body can help us to unlock some kind of wisdom that we don't have access to just by thinking and staying in our brains and in verbal spaces. So we're going to play. I'm going to invite you to play at whatever level you want to play, and we're going to access something I call clown wisdom. Um, so I think one of the things that clowns love is being in a space of not knowing. So that's the first element of the clown wisdom that we're going to explore is how you can create some space. And you might think of this as in the Japanese concept of ma, of negative space. How do we get into that negative? Um, how do we access that? Open up space for something to come. The second element of clowning that I want to think about in relation to wisdom, clown wisdom, is curiosity, which maybe Megan, I think, was referred to just now, or somebody did. Can't remember who it was. This idea of awe, of just being like fascinated by everything around you. And then the third element is the idea of permission, giving yourself permission to fail or to look stupid. So these are kind of three elements here of clown wisdom that we're going to play with. Not knowing, intense curiosity, and permission to fail. And I want to do this through a real simple warm up first of all, where we're gonna play a little bit with mostly with our hands. And you can do it on camera or off camera, it doesn't really matter. You can interact with other people, but the idea is that with this practice is it's something you can actually do on your own. So some of our clown workshops, we really do a lot of interacting, and I love that stuff. But today, what I want to focus on is sort of a little bit more of an internal process, something you could do on your own if you're stuck with something. So the first thing I'd like you to do is just shake your hands. Just this is just to kind of like get the blood flowing through them and to create a little bit of sensation. And then after you've done that for a few seconds, you're just gonna rest and maybe close your eyes and just notice the tingling or whatever sensation is there in your hands. And breathe. And notice that in nothing, there is always something. In stillness, at least external stillness, there's a lot of movement and flow. And with your eyes still closed, I want you just now, just see where your hands or how your hands feel like moving. No right or wrong, nobody's watching. Just notice. Just notice if some movement starts to happen or wants to happen. Or maybe it starts happening or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's really small or maybe it's big. And then maybe you find some stillness again. You come back to the empty space where you're just noticing the sensation in the hands and then allowing some movement again. And then slowly, I'd love you to just open your eyes, just slowly, just not let it be a gradual opening, coming back to your space. Again, don't worry about the camera or the screen, just focus on your own hands right now and just notice what they're doing. And I want you to become interested, curious in about your hands as they go through this kind of spontaneous movement. Look at them as though, almost as though you're an alien that has appeared on the planet and is discovering they have hands. You might close your eyes again and let your hands play a little bit more and then open them again. And just notice that the hands are almost, you don't really need to make any effort for the hands to move, to play. It's just happening. The body kind of takes care of itself. And your brain, your mind can be just occupied in responding, or observing the hands and having a reaction to it, or just being intensely curious about it. So it's almost like the hands are alive, like have a life of their own. And you're just there observing and witnessing this. And then as you get more and more into this, we're going to bring in this element of willingness to fail, willingness to look stupid, willingness to play. And you're going to say yes to your hands, just getting into that feeling of fun, of lightness, of play. If it helps to look at yourself on camera and see what you're doing, because sometimes that can be fun, right? Whatever gives you a sense of pleasure and fun. Oh, I can play in the frame. I can take my hand out of the frame. That's kind of fun. Or I can bring it back in, or I can have the hands meet in the middle of the frame, or create a line in the middle of the frame, or cover my face up. You're inviting in some little bit of risk, a little bit of playfulness, because you don't know what's exactly going to happen next. Nice. Yeah, beautiful, everybody. Yeah, yeah. Good. Great. Okay. And say goodbye to that for a moment. Just let it go. Say thank you, hands. So that's like a little 5-minute warm up that you can do anytime, right? To just take you into a slightly more creative, playful space. 3 elements. There was opening up the nothingness, the space, just being still, closing the eyes. There was the beginning to move, the curiosity about what's going on, and then releasing this willingness to be playful, to maybe be a bit goofy, a bit stupid. I call this session saying yes to our dumb ideas. We have to say yes. To say yes to our dumb ideas, we have to recognize that there is a sort of a foolishness that if we embrace it, we can make new discoveries that we wouldn't make otherwise. Because of course, we're all trying to. We put so much energy and focus on doing things the right way, so much of the time of looking right and acting right and being perceived right. So this element of opening ourselves up to foolishness, to dumb ideas, I think it's really a powerful step. This is why we wear red noses, and one of the reasons that we wear a red nose in clowning sometimes, or stupid costumes, is because we're just saying yes to that energy. If any of you who are parents here who have kids, because having kids as a lot of people say that kids are really clownish. For me, it's the other way around. Parents get to be clownish with their kids, and it's really fun. I don't know if you've discovered this, but there's a kind of a goofiness that kids bring out in adults if you let it. And my kids are now teenagers, and it just makes their eyes roll, and it's very, very embarrassing for them. But I love it. It's like it makes me want to do it more. They're just like, oh, Dad, stop. It's like, all right, let's go. I'm doing it. I'm doing the job. So I want to apply this idea now to an actual process around ideas and generating ideas. And this is something I actually use. So hopefully you'll notice there's a kind of similarity to what we just did with the hands to how we're going to now treat ideas and creativity in relation to anything in your life, like a problem that you're facing. So maybe there's something at work, something in your personal life, something that's blocking you, some kind of wall or obstacle that's preventing you moving forward, and you're aware that there's some lack of movement. There's a stuckness. So I'd like you to close your eyes and reflect on that as a provocation. What's a project or a goal or some area of your life that you feel where you feel a little bit stuck? You know, it could be something really small or really big. Once you've got that, you're focused on it, think about what is the nature of the wall or the obstacle? What is the thing that is stopping you from moving forward? And you may not really know, and that's okay. You may not really know what it is yet. But see if you can just allow your mind to circle around that question. What is it that's stopping me? What is the block? And see if you can visualize it in some way. Does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Does it have a way of moving, a quality of movement? Notice that we're still in our heads at the moment, and we're going to get into our bodies in just a moment. So this is kind of a little preparatory visualization, just for you to be able to select an area, some area in your life to work on. And I'd like you to be able to be really specific about it. So if I asked you, to say it or write it down, you'd be able to say, oh, this block has to do with, this article I have to write for whatever blog or something, and I can't seem to get it done, or I can't seem to make progress with, this really one specific thing. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a physical thing, health related, whatever. And yeah, and see if you can imagine the color, the shape, the quality of movement of the obstacle. Where are you hitting a wall? Okay. Now, you can decide whether you keep your eyes closed or open them. But I want you to start to feel into the body now. And I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to try to find in the body some simple expression of that wall or that block, that thing that's stopping you, that you're stuck on. So you can just separate yourself from the camera, from the screen, if that's helpful. And just see if you can find some short, it may be a 10-second or 20-second little action or movement that seems to express or capture this thing that's stuck. Maybe you become the thing that's stuck. Maybe it's sort of internalizing it in your body. Or maybe in your movement, you're imagining the thing as an external thing that you're pushing against or trying to break through or overcome. However it works for you. Right. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to come to a few people to share. We can just see what it is. And I'm not going to ask you to explain what it is, but I just want to see the thing. Might just be a single frozen image, like almost like a statue, like something that demonstrates or that reflects your thing that you're blocked around. Beautiful. All right. I'd love to have a couple of examples now. Who'd be willing to share what they've come up with here? Maria. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, perfect. Beautiful. Yeah. And as we watch these, notice what they mean to you, right? Because they're going to mean something to you. They're going to have some significance that's maybe different from what it means to the person. That was very affecting. Thank you, Maria. Who else? Megan, thank you. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Geronimo. Mm. In two parts. Thank you so much. Yes. Great. Who else? Erin. Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate the specificity of the finger angles, the placement of the everything. One or two more? Anyone else willing to share? Okay. All right. So in a way, what we were doing there is stating the question or the problem in the body, putting it into the body. And now we're going to explore what happens when you start to play with that, like we played with the hand. So you start with the obstacle. And this time, I'm going to give you maybe 30 seconds to play, and then I'm going to put some music on just to help you flow into it a little bit more easily. And I want you to just trust the body. Start with the obstacle and enter the not knowing with this curiosity and this permission to be silly and to fail. And we're going to see what happens. So everybody go back into your obstacle position or whatever it was you were playing with just now. And breathe. And start to feel if you can find a little extra playfulness, a little bit of spaciousness within that movement. What is it that the body wants to do? end up just dancing for 5 minutes. Try going back to the obstacle again and see if you can find the flow from that image or movement into something new, something different that takes the obstacle and maybe contorts it, maybe breaks through it, maybe turns into something completely different. But be curious, be fascinated, be interested. The body is often beautiful. All right. Now, I'd love to just ask you what, for people who went through that, maybe one of you or several of you want to share a little bit. I'll share first. My problem that I was dealing with sort of came out like this, and it had to do with confrontations around use of digital technology and screens with my kids, where I'm like trying to get them to watch screens less. And this is like a block, an area I have a block. And this is, I don't know, my hands were sort of representing the screen somehow. And it was, it had to do with, also became like me against them, I realized at some point. And there was a kind of a facing away, and a hiding and a secrecy and a sort of a surveillance and a pursuing and a controlling. And as I played with this, I realized that one of the movements, at least, that I came up with was like this. It was, instead of like this, it was like this. And now I'm trying to figure out what that means, right? But it felt a lot more fun, a lot more playful than this. So I went from this sort of confrontation and secrecy to this, which almost feels like animals playing with each other or something. I don't know. I can't even still put words to it, right? But it has a different kind of quality to it. So what did you all come up with? Anything that you discovered? Anything anybody wants to share?
Yeah, I can go first. It sometimes takes someone to break the ice.
Yeah, thank you.
So more from this type of movement, like from like pushing something away to taking it back to me. And yeah, I kind of start to flow a little bit more with the music. And I kind of, I would say I kind of felt it in my spine. So I started dancing a little bit more with my spine. And by the end, I was kind of okay sitting back down again and playing a little bit more with my hands, and more, not so much in a horizontal way, but more in a more fluid or more flowy way, you could say.
Nice. And was the problem or obstacle something specific?
Yeah, it's something specific. Like I was thinking, like, right now my life is going like through a couple of changes, but I'm very bad organizing like my grocery shopping. So I thought that might be a fun thing to work on. And so yeah, it's a very specific thing that yeah, I thought might be fun to like feel
Yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I'm very poorly organized. Yeah.
and this movement, this flowing movement you found, does it feel like it has some relevance or some way to connect with
I
you?
yeah, I hope so. I feel it's like a um maybe like a call to not take it that seriously, but try to be a little bit more organized, just so not to see it as a problem, but maybe like more of a try to find a playful solution to the problem, so to speak.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, what occurs to me is like, you could take that into the shopping experience itself, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what would it look like if you were actually flowing or playful
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
supermarket? In the,
Yeah. For instance, supermarket and meal prepping, for instance, I'm very inefficient. Yeah.
well, that's interesting because like there's two different tension, there's a tension there, right? Between wanting to be more efficient and also wanting to be more playful.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if they're necessarily the same thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't figured that one out yet. So.
And again, right, the idea with this is that we don't need to figure it out, but that the body kind of has some wisdom. There's the clown wisdom that
Mm-hmm.
sits within the body, and we can just ask, we can just place the
Mm-hmm.
question in the body
Mm-hmm.
and see what the body does, see what how the body responds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Uh, let's move on. Who else has even just a little glimmer of something that they would like to share? What happened when you started to play with the problem, with the obstacle? Yeah, Maria.
Yeah, I love this exercise. Thank you so much for offering to us. So the thing that came to my imagination or like kind of awareness as the problem had to do, and I wrote it, is like it's my identity as an immigrant, my attachment to my identity as an immigrant here in the US. And then I saw kind of like this, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like this just like jumping lightning bolts everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't see. And like what I kind
So
of
that was
saw,
this. You were moving around a lot.
right. And it like it, but it was very visual. It was like lightning bolts that couldn't let me see anything else. And it was almost as if like, yeah, it's just like the sparks of my brain going everywhere, like worries. It's like, oh my God, this news got published. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I saw it everywhere and I saw it everywhere and I couldn't see past it. And I kind of got stuck on that. But the moment I stood up and like you were playing the music, I realized how much of it also has to do with breath. Like the moment I like both changed the rhythm and like took a breath, I could almost like not breathe simultaneously and do that. It's like this required me holding my breath. But the moment I like took a breath, then I like slowed. Yeah.
Mm.
And it was super beautiful because I almost like also saw this like became more like a string. It's like this is the string of my awareness. And once it's slow, like I could like wrap it over the computer. And then like my attention is no longer on these worries, but it's like around y'all and listening to y'all, or like this little flower that's like by my desk. And like it's like kind of yeah, it was this thing that seemed the obstacle, and it was just like a string that I had control over. And that it was like very determinant on the way that like both my breath was moving and my body was moving. So actually super powerful. I'm gonna use this tool because it's like so beautiful.
And you know what as you were doing this, you saw it as lightning, but I think when I first saw it, I saw it as like web, like stuck in a web, right? Like trying to get out of. So I was seeing threads that you were stuck in a web of threads. So it's beautiful that the kind of transformed movement you came up with, the image was you, threading, taking control of that thread and like weaving it. wrapping things. And yeah, super powerful. The breath as well, just the breath, just like being able to drop everything, drop that
Yeah, I love the image of the weaving. I appreciate that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, anyone else who shared with us earlier, maybe Megan or Aaron or who else? I don't remember. I think you were the people that shared earlier.
We're just one person. Well, I had already, the situation was about a project that was feeling like confusing. And we actually had a really good conversation yesterday about it. So I felt like I had a little more information and we were being like called to kind of spiral down into the moment rather than trying to like figure it out and have a plan. So in the original thing, I was like kind of over a hole, but I was still feeling like there's like a lot of tentacling out, and like lack of balance and still a lot of confusion about how it's going to go, and that was okay. And then I was like, so like you, Maria, I came across something and I was like looking at this really crappy old slipper that I got from a hotel, and it had this like thing stuck on it. It's so gross, but it just called all of my attention. And I was like, so I picked the slipper up by this thing. And then I was like dancing with this old hair covered slipper, and it just took on a life of its own. And the music was so animating, and I don't know what that means, but it felt like maybe it was just this like the unexpected forgotten object that you think has nothing to do with this can be delightful and animated. And it led to like a whole world, like a whole different world, almost like I went down into that hole and went into a different dimension where crappy old hotel slippers are beautiful
Yeah.
dance partners.
Yeah. That's so cool. I love that it's a shoe as well, something that you put on your foot because it's like it's a part of a sort of an emblem of a dancer, right? As well. But it's also something that protects you from the floor. Yeah, that's really powerful. Thank you, Erin. Megan, I'm curious if anything, what happened on your journey?
Um, well, I like what was fun was I became the obstacle. Like I was the wall, the thing blocking me.
Yeah.
And so just like playing as that obstacle, I mean I felt like I was laughing a lot. Like I was there was a lot of balance and movement in it being it. It wasn't so like stationary and immovable. Like I found when I was the block and the wall, like I was playing with levels and balancing and um yeah, like the block is fun and funny kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know quite what that means, but there's space and movement there rather than it's this like stationary permanent thing that I
Yeah.
can't move. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Megan. Yeah. Anyone else have any maybe you did it or didn't do it, but maybe you have observations, noticings, reflections, maybe something worked or happened internally as we were doing it.
I've had this research project which is a complete bind, so I have this sort of entangled mess in which represents my research project.
Yeah.
And as the music played, and as soon as I've made movement, there was a sort of natural flow that there was almost like an emergence. There was no more thought about it. It was then the release was more emergent and less cerebral, and I thought that was really fun to stick with. Yeah, it was fun. I liked it. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thanks, Richard.
I think Danya is raising her hand.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Barnaby and Pierce.
I started with the image of a container because during these days I really need to connect with something. So I was getting together, and by following your instructions, I realized that I really needed to connect these in this way. But then it came the idea of merging. So it was more like Shanti, and then it was this sense.
Mm.
And by the end, I understood what I really needed. It was to hold it.
Ah,
So the container became something that is contained.
I love it. So this was the
And I
container,
felt
and then you
security. So it
contained the,
was like this. Yeah, so I could hold it.
yeah. It's it's interesting, right? As we listen to each other, and as I listen to you, Danya, and I find with all of you, if I come into a little bit of a mirror with you and I just mirror the movement, it's so different from just watching. I don't know if any of you have that experience. Um, maybe we can just do that for a moment. Maria, maybe you could do your initial movement and then what it flowed into. And if it's an invitation, you don't have to, but everyone else, just the invitation is just to do it with Maria and see how it feels to put it into the body as opposed to just watch. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Maria. Um, and maybe who else? Who would like to do that and have us follow copy them? Maybe Danya, you could do yours again, and we could just mirror that one. So you start, show us how you started. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, we are coming to the end of our time, and I'm happy to hang out here for a few more minutes and answer questions. Um, for me, just as a final thought, the clowning isn't probably what you imagine it to be, right? To me, what we've been doing for this last 50 minutes is in essence what clowning is all about. It's about um, connecting with our inner truth, with what's really blocking us, or the kind of underbelly, the things that we don't normally pay attention to, like the shoes. And then it's about opening up into a space of not knowing, being super curious about what's possible, noticing things, and then allowing ourselves to be a little foolish, be a little vulnerable, to do things that maybe feel silly uh, or dumb, and saying yes to those in order to open up some growth, some learning. And that's a part of clowning which most people don't think about, right? Most people just think about putting on a red nose and entertaining and being funny. And for me, it's something a lot more um, spiritual, sacred, powerful, personal. And it's also about, I think, processing the kind of difficulty that we face all the time in life as individuals or as societies. And that's why to me, more than ever right now, we need clowning in the world. And I'm passionate about that. And that's why I have Clown Spirit Village. You can check it out online.